This section heading is called Pseudo-Distributed mode. So now before we actually go into the steps on how to configure Hadoop to operate in what is known as pseudo-distributed mode, let's first take a closer look at our Hadoop daemons. So your Hadoop daemons, as we saw in the previous section, will all run in separate JVMs. Now depending upon where they are running or if they're running, will define which mode Hadoop is going to operate in. So Hadoop can operate into one of the following modes. It can be non-distributed, pseudo-distributed, or fully distributed. In non-distributed mode, no Hadoop daemons will be running. In pseudo-distributed, all of your daemons will be running on the same system. Fully distributed, all of your daemons will be running on 2 or more hosts. So we're going to be using pseudo-distributed, and this is where each of our daemons is going to run in a separate Java process in separate JVMs on the same host. So this is used for education and understanding purposes, and that's exactly what we're doing with it within this first lab. So now the way that we're going to define Hadoop to operate in pseudo-distributed mode is by editing 3 files within Hadoop's configuration directory. They are core site XML, HDFS site XML, and MapRed site XML. So now we're going to use the nanotext editor when editing all 3 of these files. We're going to use the -C option so we can see the position of our cursor as we scroll through the file. And all 3 of these files are going to reside inside of Hadoop's configuration directory. The first file that we're going to edit is core site XML. So the way that we're going to define pseudo-distributed operation is by adding XML code between the configuration element over here. So in order to save time, I'm actually going to copy and paste this right from the documentation. So I'm going to copy it just like this, and this white space over to the left is going to be ignored within the file. So what we're defining within here is we're defining HDFS as the file system, and we're also defining the location of the name node. So I'll do a Control X, Y to save, and press enter. And now the next file that we're going to edit is going to be HDFS site XML. So by default, Hadoop is going to store 3 copies of data within it. And what we're going to do here is we're going to adjust that value to a 1. Now the reason for that is because in pseudo-distributed mode, we only have a single data node. And the data node is where we're actually storing the data. So with a value greater than 1, this could return an error. So that's why we're actually adjusting the value. So now I'll do a Control X, Y to save, enter. And then the last file is going to be MapRed site XML. And what we're going to define within here is the location of the job tracker. So your job tracker is your manager of MapReduce. And what you're going to find when you analyze the XML code is that it is on the same location as your name node. So we have same location, but we have a unique port number. So I'll paste this in, and then we'll do a Control X, Y to save, enter, and then we're done.